Hi everybody, I'm John Michael Wood. You'll have to apologise for the background sounds and everything because we've got Storm Ophelia going over. Today's date is obviously the 16th of October 2017, approximately 2:05 in the afternoon. Got orange sky because of the strange adverse weather of Storm Ophelia causing filter effect with the sunlight, so that looks orange. But anyway, beyond that, as you see here, the vortex is lit at the top of what I'm pointing now. I've realised when you're in the water, the same effect happens when you're in the atmosphere or in space hitting gases or particles. And when you're in the water, the vortices accelerates the water in such an intensity as you're accelerating through the water and using the water as an aquaglide, like air, that in fact in that pocket the same acceleration effect happens of heat exchange. So the more acceleration is hitting the water in the turbulent point in the vortices, the more hotter it gets, because obviously friction creates heat. So what you'll get is a steam release like that, which also, like I said before, helps with the acceleration. So I just wanted to point that out as well. The thing is, you see, I've realised, because if you make it waterproof, obviously, there are ways of cancelling out, even in the atmosphere and the space, the magnetic fields. And it's a weakness that I've realised. Vulnerability, possibly by weaponry. Microwaves. It has a way of affecting magnetic fields, does microwaves, as you well know, gravity and all that. But there's a way to counteract it. If you shield your engines with, the insulator on microwave ovens to protect people from the microwaves outside the microwave oven. If you use the insulator on that in a very clever, focused way, it would protect you from energy weapons, including lasers, especially if you use a solarized plating. But anyway, that's a different matter. I'll go on about my bloody microwave weapon some other time, but not now. It's just another defense system that I've possibly conceived using microwaves, known as a microwave disruptor pistol. Most people call them phasers because it phases the microwave relays to different amplitudes, so it would be a phaser. Anyway, getting back to this, on the to your right there that I'm pointing at is the forward view of the Maglon intake. Now, as you can see, on each blade tip there is what looks like a curved ballast point. Well, that's the magnets that you see, the magnets, and that's they're molded into the blades and crafted in an aerodynamic way, but still keep what it is cased, is the sphere, in the actual blade manifold. But the blade is made from a tensile element that is strong, but it's not metal, and it has to be waterproof and durable from intense forces and accelerations and vibrations. So you can't make it of metal, but you can't make it of a plastic. You have to make it of a strong carbon bond polymer, and it has to be that, because if you don't do that and you use metals, what will happen is it'll affect the magnetic frequency of the sphere at the tip, and it'll draw back the magnetic fields and weaken it. So it has to be a carbon plastic polymer that's strong as steel or titanium. And that's what I realised, to keep the intensity of the magnetic focus on the array of the maglev. Now, I've realised that you can have two sets of of fan blades. Inside, and the comb with double relay of Magnons, magnetic relay maglev, but one going one way and the other going the other way. You know, designed obviously by the aerodynamics principles of blade motion. So I realised that. So I mean, when I start thinking about the probabilities of the acceleration underwater as well as in air and vacuum. So like I say, when you're in vacuum, you can focus the amplitude of magnetic frequencies using the electromagnetic relays that you've made inside the actual conductor lines to intensify or weaken the magnetic fields. And what you can do is, the more heavier the magnetic field, while duplexing the acceleration, you can draw in ions, atomic particles, rare gases, normal gases, etc. Literally magnetic opposites and equals attract, depending on what sort of element it is. I mean, there are weird elements out there that you wouldn't think when you put north to north it would attract, but there are some elements where that happens, and it creates what we call an energy inversion. That it sticks together, but it releases a lot of energy. I can't remember what element it was, but I think it's dilithium. And when it reacts with magnetic frequencies, it focuses energy into an electrostatic force, and I think that's what Searle discovered. But I think that's too expensive, so I've come up with another version, which is the alkaline jelly. So you've got the alkaline jelly, and you mix in with the jelly iron powder, but you put it in a lattice. So what you have to do is you have to make nanothreads of iron files. You know, the filings, purified iron. We are talking about no impurities in this. And then you have to have it copper coated all the way, strands cross-hatched inside the jelly. There's a reason for that. And then you have the zinc and gold ether sealed contact points connected to all the copper coated iron rollings inside the actual alkaline jelly. And then when it's reacting, obviously the reaction of chemistry and physics kick in, and the electrostatic forces start emerging from the jelly. If it's got nowhere to go, it'll just explode and overheat, and that's why you have the contacts to the rods inside the actual jelly. So it goes down into the copper, into the magnetic rings, which can act as a capacitor, and that's another theory. And you can go into the capacitor, and then obviously into bigger capacitors, and you can create batteries to store the power. Sorry for smoking, I'll try not to. I'll try to quit. So yeah, the jelly pads would be on the outer ring, I realised, and they'd be in between each maglev point, and the array would be on the outside, and the focusing of the actual. So if you have the mouth there, and then you have there the pads, your maglevs, and then you have your obviously your intake blades. Well, from the outer, you see the outer point ring there. Well, you'll have all the electrics going down the skin and then into the core of the drive shaft, and then focusing through all the cross fins that hold the drive into place, and then you have them going into the sector and then out. And what you can do is you can use the core to house batteries and capacitors all the way along to store electricity that you can use for internal use on the dashboard, avionics, communications, computers, things like that. So yeah, it's a complex machine, but it's simple, more simpler than most jets, let's put it that way. And with the added bonus of, rare elements, luxurious elements that you've never discovered before, like the mythical Aquadria, things like that. You can wormhole with these things without using any fuel as such, but there's a debate at whether or not the air you're using or the gases you're using are a fuel. Technically it is, but it isn't. It's non-combustible, but it is combustible. But it's green. That's the point. And as a side product, you can create electricity with a generator ring using the same principles, but in a ring relay. And then it starts going on to other theories, like, wouldn't that lead on to building stargates and stuff like that? And yes, it is.